Week 4. I'm here with Austin, and we are on week 4 of our school cancellation kids cooking lessons. This will also be what I think will be our final week for a variety of reasons. I know school is pretty much being canceled for the remainder of the year, and the remainder of the locations who haven't yet. I saw more news of that today. So we're going to buzz through some more kid-friendly, budget-friendly recipes and lessons for you this week. Austin and I are kicking it off today. What are we making? Sloppy Joes. We're making homemade Sloppy Joes. Not using the canned. We are going to use canned tomato sauce, but we're going to do a homemade Sloppy Joe mix. This is actually one of the most popular recipes on the $5 Dinners website. And since Sloppy Joes are so kid-friendly and so fun and such a great, quick sort of summer dinner, we're moving towards summer, easy option to make at home. I know a lot of us have ground beef right now, and we have chicken. We're going to do some chicken recipes later in the week. So we're going to be here with you every day this week, Monday through Friday, with 5 more kids cooking lessons. I hope that you will cook along with us if you have your ingredients. Cook along with us today, or if you're catching the replay, cook along with us. These lessons are very much live and in the moment, and I am teaching them how to do this while I teach your kiddos how to do this. And today with Sloppy Joes, we are going to learn how to brown ground beef. We are also going to learn how to measure liquid and dry ingredients. Because we're making the homemade sauce, we're going to measure things like mustard and paprika. And then we're going to learn why and how to simmer and how to get the sauce just right. So Sloppy Joe sauce out of a can, this is going to taste pretty similar to that, but I think it's going to taste better because it's fresher. I like to do easy homemade options like this one. I like homemade taco seasoning. Homemade Sloppy Joes are really fantastic, except we're going to make one change to this recipe that we're doing today by popular demand from the Chase boys. What are we not adding in today's recipe? Onions. Okay, we're not adding in onions in today's recipe, even though it calls for minced dried onions. We're not going to be adding any, but I'll tell you when to add them, and I'll share some alternatives with you as well. So before we hop in and switch on over here, I need to give you my disclaimers. I share these on every lesson. First is parents. Today we're dealing with a hot skillet and raw meat. So be close by supervising, but don't take over. This is the time that your kids get to learn valuable skills. And if they need help, step in and help them. Oftentimes I do that with him because he's younger. But with the other boys, I literally just stand here and kind of direct traffic. Make sure they're doing things safely and appropriately. And we're not chopping any onions today, but if you were going to chop an onion, you would want to make sure that your kiddo is old enough and has proper knife skills to do that. We have learned in past lessons how to chop onions. And kiddos, if mom or dad or grandma or aunt or whoever decides to kind of jump in and try and take over and do it for you, I'm going to give you permission to politely and respectfully say, no thanks, Mom, I'm trying to learn how to do this myself. So, those are my disclaimers before we hop in. Hi, Jonna. Jonna says hi. Hi. Let us know who's cooking with us today. Who is here? Let me know that you're here. We are going to flip the camera mode, and hopefully the camera behaves. Sometimes it does this focus thing, and if it doesn't, then I will flip it back to this mode with the other option. But I like this top shot here. So the first thing we're going to do, because Austin's younger, I'm going to add the raw meat to the skillet. So we're going to start with 1 pound of ground beef. And we're going to add that right into the skillet. All right. And if you want to make sure that you wash your hands after dealing with or touching raw meat. Let me do that real quick. And then we're going to start cooking this. So to brown this ground beef, we need to turn on the stovetop. Austin, can you turn on the stovetop? It's this burner right here. Turn that on and to where it says light. This is a gas stove, so just turn yours on to medium high. Depending, every stovetop is a little bit different, but you want to get it to medium high. Can you come over here and turn that? And we're going to start browning this. There we go. Let's put it on 7 right there. Perfect. So we want to start, the next thing we're going to do is start to break this up. So Austin, why don't you climb up here and break up right there. And what he's doing, this is a chop stir, this is a tool. You could also use, you know, a metal spoon such as this one would work really well. Anything that's going to help you break that meat up so it'll brown quickly and evenly. And while we wait for that, we're going to get our ingredients organized so that we can measure them. This will start to sizzle here in just a minute. Again, moms, dads, let the kiddos do the work. This is how they learn. Again, this is heat and raw meat, so make sure that you've got a close eye on any younger kiddos. Okay, can you get, I'm going to slide you. You're a little too far away. Yep, good job. Okay, Austin's holding the skillet steady and using the chop stir to break up this meat. Very good. He's getting a core workout too because he's kneeling on this stool right here. All right, let's let that start to warm up and brown. I think that's broken up pretty well. Okay, the next thing that let's keep that in the skillet, Bubba, since that's dirty with raw meat. Let's keep that in the skillet. The next thing that we're going to do is, I just usually leave that right in there as it's browning, so I can stir it again. The next thing we're going to do is add the onions. You can do this two ways. You can mix the dry mix up together. I like the extra added flavor of browning ground beef with the onion and the garlic. So this recipe that we're using here, let me actually drop it in the comments because I know it's on the video, but let me put it here. You can save it for later. One of the things that I often do when browning ground beef is add the onion and the garlic at this stage of cooking. So you could do one of two things. You could mix up all the dry ingredients together as the recipe suggests, which is the brown sugar, minced dried onions, smoked or regular paprika, ground cumin, garlic powder, salt, and pepper. You could mix all of that together and we'll add it in with the sauce, but I like the added flavor bonus of browning the garlic, browning the beef with the garlic and the onion. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and add that now. So since we're not adding in onions, since the children here at this house have revolted against the onions, although they would have never known the onions were in here if I cooked this on my own. So we are going to add 1 teaspoon of garlic. So can you measure, Austin, 1 teaspoon of garlic? So because this is clean, I'm letting him scoop into the container. You're going to have to get a big scoop. And you might need to level it this way. Here, go back. You might need to hold it at an angle. Let's hold it down so they can see. And scoop to the side so that you can fill up your teaspoon. Okay? Now, sprinkle that in and around the, very good. All right, and we decided against onions. Is that correct? So your options are minced dried onions, 1 tablespoon. I would do 2 teaspoons of maybe onion powder, or you could do, that's like a palmful of finely chopped onion, okay? So those are some onion options, or like you can do like we're doing and just leave it out. Would you go ahead and give this a little stir here? Again, I just like to add the garlic and the onion together while the beef is browning. You do not have to do that. You can mix all the dry ingredients together and add it to the sauce here in a minute. But we will just not add the garlic at the next step. Jonna, Austin is on a counter, regular kitchen counter height stool, not a taller bar stool. It's like a kitchen counter height stool, and he's kneeling, which is a little bit awkward, to be honest, but it's working for him right now. We do have a step stool, but it doesn't quite go up to the counter the same way that we can get as close with this particular stool. I know they have these things, I think they're called learning towers. Learning towers are kind of like, they're inside of there's like a rim around the edge of them, so they're a little bit safer. Okay, I'm gonna turn this over. You don't wanna use that stool anymore. Okay, you don't have to. You can measure from there, you're tall enough. All right. So we're just gonna mix that garlic in, and then we're gonna start measuring some of our other ingredients. Be careful, Bubba, because that is going to be that grease to pop in your face. He's real close to this here. Okay, so here we have some cheese options and buns for later. So what we're going to do now is we're going to measure some of the other dry ingredients. So we need to measure the brown sugar, the cumin, and the paprika. Okay, so I need 3 tablespoons, which is the bigger one. This is a teaspoon. Let's show everybody. This is a teaspoon. This is a tablespoon. So we're going to use the bigger one. So get your tablespoon, and you need to measure 3 and put it into, there's the mess we're talking about, friends. That's okay. Now there's brown sugar all over my foot and his arm. That's all right. Wash my hands here. 3 spoonfuls, and you want to get that leveled and packed in there. Good job, Bubba. Even it out. Very good. Austin's doing a good job of measuring that and evening it out so that we get 3 tablespoons. The brown sugar in this recipe is for the sweetness in our sauce. Okay? The sweetness in the sauce is what we have the brown sugar here for. I'm brushing that off. We'll get it over in a little time. That'll be part of our cleanup from our prep. We'll be getting the broom. Okay, this is about ready. And I am going to, I might not drain this. I think it might be okay. You can drain the ground beef at this point. You would want to strain this into your grease jar. You do not have to do that, but now would be the time to do that. And because we are still measuring, I'm going to turn off this so we can measure and get things ready for the sauce. So if you need to turn off your ground beef, go ahead and do that now while we continue to measure. Okay, we've done our 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. We have 1 tablespoon of minced onions that we are skipping. We already talked about that. You should see Austin's grin. Grin right here so they can see your grin. Grin right here. Duck down so they can see your grin. Just have the biggest grin. You stinker. Okay, so we are going to, maybe I will drain this actually. Let me drain this. That's a little bit more than I thought. You do not have to drain, but you can. It's up to you. Mom, Dad, do this part unless your kiddos are old enough and have the dexterity to do this. This is hot grease in a hot pan, and you don't want any to spill or splash over. Okay, wash your hand. Okay, that's enough. That's okay. All right, I'm not getting rid of all the fat, just some of it.
Can I do this?
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Put it back on the counter. You gotta let that fat cool down. All right, so back to our sauce. We have our 3 tablespoons of brown sugar here. We need to add 1 tablespoon of this paprika. Okay, I'm actually gonna give you the other paprika. We have 2. See if this is a tablespoon. This might be the last of this container. So he's going to pour it in here. Do it over on the counter. Because this is a little bit less. Is that all that's left in there?
Yeah.
Let's see.
No.
No, we need some more, huh? All right. The paprika is what gives one of the great flavors to the sauce. Let me get the other one. I knew we were running low, so I got a new one. Okay, let's put that back on the counter. Don't spill that. We're gonna have a lot of things on the floor here. Okay. Uh-oh. Look at me making a mess. Okay, that's good. He's gonna fill it up one pinch at a time here. Okay, why don't you add that in with the brown sugar? I think that's enough. And I'll wipe the counter. Okay, why don't you come over here so I can wipe the counter? Scoot to the right, please. Thank you. Just because that's gonna get everywhere. Okay. Let's see. Next is cumin. I need you to measure 1 teaspoon of cumin. Right here. 1 teaspoon. And we've already added the garlic, so I'm not going to add that here. Okay, can you even that out and spread it back in? His hands are clean, don't worry. All right. Drop that in. This one. Look at how pretty. Look at these pretty colors. You see how colorful this is? Isn't that colorful? This is where you get into like the food as art business. Jonna, I'm right there with you as far as the dry onions and the fresh onions. My boys probably don't know how many onions they've eaten over the years. Not because I'm trying to be sneaky, but you just can't see them, and it does make that extra flavor. All right, we also need to add a teaspoon of salt. Right here, please. 1 teaspoon, which is this smaller one. Is that going to work? Do I need to put more salt in there?
Yeah.
This is a prep dish. It's a little harder to measure from. How about we pour? We'll do this one together. Let's pour over the prep dish. It's hard to scoop out of the prep dish here.
That's good.
Okay. Okay, that's good. And then we're going to do the same thing with pepper. All right. I think you might be able to scoop to this one here. Let's try this. Perfect. So 1 teaspoon of pepper and 1 teaspoon of salt. Careful, that might make you sneeze. Sometimes getting too close to pepper will make you sneeze. And look, stir that right up. Okay, now we have all of our dry ingredients mixed together. So we already put the garlic in here, and we have the rest of our brown sugar and spices in here. Okay, great. The next thing that we're going to do is add the wet ingredients, which is these 3. Well, hang on, look, this one has a pop top, so we don't need the can opener. I just got it out in case we decide to add more sauce. So our wet ingredients are regular yellow mustard, a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce, and a little bit of vinegar. Okay, so we're going to mix that in here, and then we're going to put the dry mix in with the wet ingredients. We're going to mix it all together really well, and then we're going to let it simmer. Okay, so Austin, let me show you how to open this pop top. If you have a can like this, use your can opener. I'm not going to open this one, but use your can opener and open the can like this. If you have a can like this one, this is a pop top, so you're going to pull up. This one requires a little strength and fine motor skills. So pull up. Be careful because it's going to be a real sharp edge. Pull towards you, and then you're going to hook your finger in here and pull it up and back. Can you finish pulling that off? Very carefully. Don't cut anything. That's a very sharp edge. Okay? All right, so let's pour this sauce with the meat. Yep, the whole can. So this is a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce that's going in with the ground beef that we've already browned. And because I want to simmer this for a little bit, I'm going to add a tiny bit of water. See how there's a little bit of sauce left in the can? I often do this with tomato sauces, and I would encourage you to do the same thing too. Get a little warm water. Can you flip that to warm, Bubba? Thanks. He's so cute.
Didn't get hot.
I'm going to add maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons of hot water to this, swirl it around so I can get all this sauce out. And as that simmers here on the skillet, all of that extra water that I've added to the sauce will steam and cook off, okay? So, is it hot? I'm just adding a little bit of water. I'm trying to get you to see it there. We're gonna swirl to get as much of that sauce out of there. And because sloppy joes are sloppy, we want the sauce to be a little bit tomatoey, okay? I'm actually gonna add a little bit more. All right, Bubba, I need you to come and stir this, please. If you're doing more than 1 pound of ground beef, you could do either a 28-ounce can of tomato sauce, or you could do tomato sauce with some tomato paste and water. You want to get it to the consistency that you prefer for sloppy joe. All right, I need you to mix this, and then we're going to add, start simmering it and add the other ingredients. After we stir this together, we're going to add in the mustard. The yellow mustard is going to give it a little bit of tanginess. We're also going to add vinegar, which is also going to give it that signature tangy flavor. So sloppy joe meat is known for being sweet and tangy, and that's what we are doing with the brown sugar. Is going to give it that touch of sweetness, and the cider vinegar or the regular white vinegar and the mustard is going to give it that tanginess. And this is where, and we'll get to this after we let it simmer for a little bit, you're gonna wanna taste the sauce, let it cool down a little bit, taste it, and then you can tweak it how you want, okay? Ooh, this looks like a really good consistency, doesn't it?
Can we do this?
No, we're not gonna open that other can, but I was just getting that to show. All right, so now, I'm gonna actually wipe this off because we got a little bit on the side here. Carefully. Don't put the flame. Okay. We're going to let that medium heat. So turn it back to maybe a 5, a 6, or a 7. We need to measure now the vinegar and the mustard. We're going to have to measure it. We don't want to squirt it right in. Hang on. We need 1 tablespoon. So we're going to squeeze 1 tablespoon's worth right in here. Keep squeezing. Is it full yet? Get it all the way full. Kind of looks like finger paint when he's doing it like this. Okay, that's good. Is that full? That looks full. Okay, now I want you to take that and I want you to dab it into here very carefully. Don't touch the pan because it's hot. Good. And if you need to scoop it out, you can just use another tiny spatula or spoon to scoop it out of there. Okay, that's good. Let's move along to the cider vinegar. This time, we're gonna do 2.5 tablespoons. Give this a little shake. Okay. I have an idea. Let's measure this into another bowl because that skillet is hot. Let's measure 2.5. Right here. If the mustard gets in there, that's okay. And this is full, so I'm going to help you. I want you to pour with this hand. Yep. So we're going to do 1. Drop it in. Okay. You're going to measure into another bowl so we don't get too much vinegar. We don't want too much tang. We're going to do half. Stop. Okay. We don't want too much tang in our sauce, but we want to get the right amount of tang. So now that we've measured out 2.5, if you're an older kiddo and you want to measure over the skillet because you're very careful and you have the fine motor skills to do that, go ahead and measure over the skillet. But we're doing this into a smaller bowl because we're younger and if we made a mistake, we could fix it without making our sauce too crazy tangy. All right, pour that in and we got to stir it. Very carefully, very good. You mix all that vinegar and mustard in there. Can you smell how it's starting to smell like sloppy joe sauce, Bubba? Can you smell that yet? It's really going to make a difference when we add in the brown sugar. Slow stirs, please. Fast stirs means food goes flying out of skillets, and that's hot food, and I don't want it to burn your skin. Okay? So good slow stirs. Very great. Austin's becoming quite the professional chef. All right, what's one more thing we need to do? We haven't done yet. Can you look on the counter and figure it out? Yep. We need to add our dry ingredients. So this is the brown sugar, paprika, cumin, and salt and pepper. And if you added the onions and garlic to this part, you would have added the onions and garlic to this part. Stirring that right in. I am just watching to make, remember, slow stirs. Slow stirs. All right, this is where you need to turn the heat down to the very lowest setting. This is where the simmering comes in. You can see that it's already simmering and bubbling here. So we don't want it to overcook. We don't want it to steam off too much water. So we're gonna turn it down to really, really low and let it simmer for probably 20-ish minutes. You don't have to let it simmer that long. But the reason we want to turn it down, turn it on low. Where it says L-O. This way. All the way down. Perfect. You can tell it went lower, didn't it? All right, so now the reason we want to do this, so we're going to put this on the very lowest setting. Some stovetops have a simmer setting. This one has a low. Maybe it's a 1 or a 2, depending on the numbers on your stovetop dial. And the reason that we want to let it simmer for a little bit of time is because we need all of these flavors, all of these spices. We need the paprika and the brown sugar and the vinegar to all kind of melt and marry together into the sauce, so then it will taste like what you and I traditionally think of is if you were going to make this from a can, it will taste like that. So let's fast forward 20 minutes into the future. If only we could do that. We can't do that though, can we? All right, because this is all cooked and ready, I can go ahead and sample it now, but I am going to, after we're finished with the lesson here, I'm going to let this continue to simmer on low heat. When you're going to taste it, even though it's simmering over low heat, it is still going to be very hot. So do not taste it immediately, okay? This is how you taste it. So you're gonna wanna take it out and maybe even just set it on the counter for a few minutes, okay? We do not want to burn our tongues because let me tell you, that is the worst. You worked really hard. Oh, that was quick, dude. No, easy, easy, easy. That's not how we do it. We wait. Please wait. Don't burn your tongue. You want to blow on it, wait 20, 30 seconds. He's like, I'm just going to have dinner right now. I can see your face. Yes, this is why I'm telling you and everyone. He's like, I have no patience for this, Mom.
It's not hot.
What I don't want, yeah, this might not be quite as hot because we had it turned off for a little bit. I don't want you to burn your tongue, okay? How does it taste?
Good.
It tastes good? Do you think it needs, don't burn your tongue, please. You're making me real nervous. And I'm trying to teach everybody not to burn their tongue, and you're making me nervous. So please wait. So this is the part where if you think it needs a little bit more sweetness, sprinkle in just a touch of brown sugar. If you want it to be a little tangier, add just a splash more of vinegar or mustard. So you, once it's simmered, again, you fast forwarded 20 minutes into the future. Once it's simmered for about 20 minutes, then that's you know, enough time. If you have time to let it simmer a little bit longer, you could add in a little bit more water, because again, as it simmers, a little bit of water will escape. You don't want your sauce to be too thick, because these are sloppy joes. We want to make a mess on our plate. And you can then tweak after you've tasted it to make sure that it is just right for the way that you want your sloppy joe sandwich. Then, when it's time for dinner, get your other side dishes ready. We're going to have this tonight with some pineapple because we need to cut and eat this pineapple and maybe some oranges. These are some of the things that we need to, produce that we need to use up here in our house. So whatever, fresh fruit or some chips to go with this as a side dish. And then when it's time to assemble your sandwiches, I have a couple of ideas for you. So you're just going to spoon your sauce right onto your bun. Make sure it's extra saucy. Let's use a bigger spoon so that it doesn't quite take us on. I'm going to use this big spoon. Then, if you want to add cheese, Add it right away. And then put the top on. What's happening? I'm showing them how to do it this way. Hang on, please. And then put the top on, and the heat from your warm meat will melt this cheese. The reason that I have this is a provolone cheese. It's a white, really lovely cheese. The reason I have got it out is because I like to make what I call cheesesteak sloppy joes, which is the sloppy joes. You can add in a green bell pepper, some onions, like a Philly cheesesteak. See where I'm going with this? And then a slice of the provolone cheese. You could also do shredded mozzarella on top. That'll melt really quickly as well. Can I get you a plate, sir? Here. Let's do this, please. You make your own sandwich right there. So those are some ideas for you. Adding a slice of cheddar cheese. Another fun option would be to serve these on slider buns instead of hamburger buns, and you can have little, like, instead of having one big sloppy joe, you could have 2 or 3 little sloppy joes. Adding some cheese to the sliders as well. If you're gluten-free, we have had many times sloppy joe meat over brown rice or white rice. It's like a sloppy joe bowl. Also very delicious. Please don't burn your tongue. That might still be, see, sloppy, I love it. So perfect. So doing sloppy joe with rice is a great gluten-free option. If you can have dairy, sprinkle some cheddar cheese for that extra pop of flavor. And then the last way I want to share how to make what you can do with sloppy joe meat like this is if you have biscuits, like canned refrigerated biscuits, you can nest the biscuits into a muffin tin, put the sloppy joe into the biscuit, a little cheese on top, and then make sort of sloppy joe muffins, sloppy joe biscuit muffins, sloppy joe biscuit bites, whatever you want to call them. Meanwhile, who loves that Austin's chomping on his dinner right now? You're losing some sloppy on the bottom there, just as you should. Right here, no, off your plate. It's super perfect. All right, so those are some other ideas for making sloppy joes. Apart from just this homemade sauce here, I just wanted to give you some ideas and encouragement and inspiration because it is tough. I feel like we're eating the same thing a lot. A couple weeks ago, we had a lot of kind of burger and pasta dishes made different ways. We had a casserole, we had a skillet, we cooked some for local TV stations. We had that a lot. And I've seen that from friends and from you guys, is that we're frustrated that we're kind of eating this, defaulting to the kind of the same thing over and over. So hopefully with the kids' cooking lessons, your kiddos can learn how to cook, work yourself out of the job, give yourself a break, let them cook sloppy joes for you coming up. Of course, keep a close eye on them if they need it and they're still learning. But my hope here is that you've worked with us, you know exactly how to do it. You have some new ideas for, yes, it's just not another night of sloppy joes. We're doing sloppy joe biscuit bakes instead, so there's some easy ways to mix these up. All right, what do you say, Austin?
Bye, friends.
Bye, friends. You're going to go back to eating your sloppy joe. You can see him eating his sloppy joe. Really quick, what have you learned how to do in this quarantine? What have you learned how to do? I've had to learn how to cut boys' hair. And I can't say that his is the best. Come back here. By Tyler, my third son, I did a much better job. But like figuring out how to like trim this up and keep it. Who thinks this looks okay? All right, enough of that. You want to come? Oh, you need. Well, you'll see Tyler's hair later in the week. But what's something fun that you've learned in this quarantine that you didn't think you'd know how to do, like cutting boys' hair? Ryan, we buzzed his. We totally buzzed Ryan's right off.
All of his hair.
All of it. All right, we had a big old barbershop time last night. Okay, enjoy your sloppy joes. We'll see you tomorrow again at 4 Central Time for the next kids cooking lessons. We're making cheesy chicken enchiladas. It does call for rotisserie chicken, so either pull the rotisserie meat off today so you have it ready for tomorrow, or if you're going to prep ahead, I like to slow cook chicken and shred it for these types of things. Go ahead and do that between now and the next lesson. And we will see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Yay! Nobody likes you.
Here goes the rest of it.
Everybody likes you.
Here it comes. Yes, sometimes I feel like I'm living in a frat house right now. That is okay. We're having fun. All right, friends. See you soon.